Good morning and happy first day of summer. I always embrace the first day of every season, looking forward to what is to come in the next 3 months. And then on the last day of the season, I lament, where did the time go? At this church, at the church within, we meditate to clear the clutter of our minds and to remember that we are one with the mind of God, one with the mind of the great I am. So I encourage you for the next few minutes to close your eyes, to relax, to remember to breathe, and to hear these words. Please take a breath with me. The sense of fleeting time is not confined to passing seasons. It is applicable to years and to decades. As time advances, how many times have you said, "Where did the time go?" Oh, that fleeting time, forever moving forward, waiting for no one. Time in the physical sense of seconds, minutes, days, and weeks is measured by clocks and calendars. Then there's mental time, that eternal to-do list, the things we hold in mind that need to be done, that ought to, that must get done. And then there is true eternal time. This is where God resides, near, around, and within each of us. On the human level, there's no getting around living daily with physical and mental time. Those are checked and kept in perspective when we tap into spiritual time through prayer, through meditation, communing with God, with Spirit. Living only in the physical and mental confines us to the idea of there never being enough time for you fill in the blank. Please take another breath. Allow yourself to deepen. And for the next few minutes, hear my words and let them pass. Hear sounds and allow them to fade. And imagine this or something similar. I have been duped into thinking and living only in the physical and the mental. But I know the truth. I live in the spiritual now. The seconds and minutes I spend recognizing that I am one with Spirit. I am one with God. This is when I witness time coming unstuck, unbound to physical and mental thinking. Time is never about thinking. It is about forever living. Both the Old Testament and the New Testament recognize the true meaning of time. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, it says, To everything there is a season, and a season for every purpose under heaven. The concept that God operates outside human time is stated in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. But do not forget this one thing. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. In closing, happy first day of summer. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy today and the eternal now. Amen. The foundation of the church within is prayer. And if you are in need of prayer and here in this physical building, there's a place in this room with a box to make a request, and there's another one in the lobby. And if you're away from here and hearing these words online, you can go to thechurchwithin.org and make a request there. Should you be in need of someone to pray with you this morning, I'm available here at the front of the church.
Got my pencil ready for the test. I'm Danny Stringham-Marquis. The Buddha sat near a cave when a tired old plowman approached, bewildered. The sun is hot, my oxen are gone, and my field still needs plowing. Can you believe this world? I struggle and toil and never can seem to get ahead. The Buddha simply replied, I see you, Mara. You have no oxen, you have no field, and you have no struggle because you're merely a thought trying to convince me I'm separate from the peace of this cave. Upon saying this, the old plowman vanished like a mist. Now, not all of us are so lucky as to have the problematic person we're talking to vanish before our eyes, right? But the Buddha had his nature and we have ours. And that's what I'd like to talk about today, our nature. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's Carl Jung. I love that line, but I don't love what it implies, because what it implies is that a whole lot of what we might call guidance, inner guidance, might just be something we never bothered to look at closely. It might be what Buddha called Mara. Mara, the resistance to awakening, sent from somewhere within ourselves. We are a people, of course, who love the idea of inner guidance. Listen to your heart. Follow that tingling sensation. Trust that still, small voice. That language is heard here. I have said it from this spot. It's sacred language. But if we're not careful, it can be dangerously incomplete. Because if listen to your inner voice were the whole story, then we've got a problem. There are people in this world who have listened very closely and done terrible things. No one stood next to them and said, "Hey, you should go ruin your life. Hey, you should hurt someone. Hey, go down that road you can't come back from." Those messages tend to come from inside. These people are guided by their nature. All people are holy. There's a man named John E. Douglas, great name for an FBI profiler. He spent years sitting across from people that most of us would cross the street to avoid. And after all that time, all those interviews and stories, he came away with something incredibly simple. Behavior reflects personality. Which doesn't sound particularly groundbreaking, but let's sit with it. Behavior reflects personality. What you repeatedly listen to in your inner world eventually becomes what you do in the outer world. There's another profiler, Robert Ressler, who put the same idea in a similar but different way. Fantasy is rehearsed behavior. That's just observation. The things we entertain internally, the stories we tell ourselves about our lives and the lives of those around us, the justifications we run, the little narratives where we could fix everything. We could do this just right if everyone would just shut up and listen to me and do what I say, right? We think these things and we think they're harmless. It's just in my head, right? But the mind does not treat these narratives like pretend. It treats it like practice. Fantasy is rehearsed behavior. But so is compassion. So is patience. So is forgiveness and stillness and even the kind of love we talk about when we say only love is real. How do we practice this good stuff that we want to do and tamp down the bad stuff that runs? Last time we talked about stillness. Last time I was here with you all. About letting the dust settle. We also talked about the concept of filtering the dust from our minds. And I think that is what we are breaking down even further here. Right? What is that dust all about? How exactly does the filter work? We must create space so that we can hear more clearly. And that is very good. That is necessary. But here's the part we have to add. Clarity is not the same as truth. You can have a very calm mind and still make a destructive decision. You can feel very certain and still be very wrong. Has anyone ever been absolutely certain about something, only later to find out you were definitely way off the mark? Yes? I see a dad in the audience saying, definitely not me. And that's funny that we're talking about this on Father's Day because my family has a perfect story about this, and it involves my dad, right? We were on a trip to southern Indiana. We were hiking the Adventure Trail. It's a big loop in southern Indiana, and just like 465, the northwest corner of this loop has a dogleg that leads out to a highway, right? We didn't know that when we were on the trail 3 days in a scout troop, right? Running out of water, very tired. And we come to this sign that says, left or right, you know? And my brother and I get out the map and we think about where we think we are, and we say we think we're supposed to go to the right. And Dad comes up from behind the troop, right? Gets his compass out, takes a reading, and he's like, straight. And we're like, can we talk about this for a second, please? And he's like, I am certain. Straight, right? Well, when the dogleg eventually spilled out onto that highway, we were literally miles away from where camp was supposed to be, right? And we were out of water, and Dad was super wrong. He jumped in the back of a friendly pickup truck driver's cab, or the bed, and the rest of the troop went and found some water, and just a garden hose attached to a house. No one was home. We were just kind of spraying ourselves off. And we all made it back to camp with the help of other friendly drivers. But the point is, this is something that happens. We're certain, we end up being wrong. And in a very interesting, like, kismet sort of thing, I was hiking with Tilly and another friend yesterday, and we did almost identically this. We performed this operation. Luckily, it wasn't nearly as many miles off track, but I took us the wrong way. I was sure of it, you know? I can't believe that happened yesterday. Okay, the point is, this doesn't happen to our enemies, right? This isn't a them problem. This is a we problem. So what do we do with that? One thing is for sure, we do keep trusting ourselves, right? We do not abandon the idea of inner guidance. We just let it grow. We let our garden grow. There isn't just one voice in my head, right? There's a whole committee. It's like that movie Inside Out. Have you seen it, where the different characters are inside the mind of Riley, the main character, and they're trying to help her, right? Now, all those characters have different voice actors, and they look very different, but that's not how it works for me. All of my voices are the same voice. It's me, right? It would be a lot easier if one of them had, like, a British accent, you know? I think you should lure them all into a trap. Ah, yes. That's clearly not me. That's the villain voice, right? But no, they all sound reasonable. They all make arguments that feel very convincing. The most dangerous one is the one that tells me exactly what I already wanted to hear. A month or two ago, I gave a talk on coming out of phone addiction, and it was part of an overall attempt at improvement of my physical and mental well-being, right? I've been trying to eat better, get more exercise, that kind of thing. But you know, right as I was coming back from my trip to Arizona, the one where I had that moment of clarity that I talked to you all about, I started engaging in quite a few of my own negative habits. I felt triumphant over the world, right? Like I was above my failures and could thus entertain the negative behaviors for the fun of it, but not get trapped by their cyclical nature, that the habit wouldn't creep in. I could just have the fun, right? Are you hearing this? I was back on my baloney. We convince ourselves of things, but we must recognize what is right and what is wrong. It comes through us, not automatically from us. It comes through us, not from us. Marianne King just gave such a wonderful meditation. She so often does, and I want to quote from another one that she did a month or so ago. I think it fits in here. This is John 4:4. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Greater is the divine that is in you than the divine that is in the world. We know this, sort of, right? We sort of know this here at the church within. We know about the light inside us, that it is up to us to tend our garden so that the glory of the divine may come into the world, so that the Dharma may rise. It comes from our work. It is grown from our heart. It is up to our mind and spirit to decipher the voices that would destroy and the voices that would enrich. Ultimately, is not out there, right? Greater is He. It's not in those people. It's right here. Which means the work isn't just listening inward, it's discerning inward. So yes, we are practicing stillness. Yes, we are letting things settle. Yes, we make space. But once the dust settles, that's not when we stop. That's precisely when we start. We look and we test and we ask questions of ourselves, of our committee of the interior. Does this voice isolate me or connect me? Does it shrink the world down to just me or expand my concern outward? Does it demand urgency or allow patience? Does it make me tighter or more defensive or more open, honest, more accountable? If the answer is yes to any of those first half of the questions, it's probably Mara. Because the voice worth trusting doesn't just feel right in the moment. It makes you right with others. It makes you right with others. It is evident in your works. It is evident in our work and in the fruits of these works that we do together. Now, of course, this is not a one-time thing. Remember, I had figured it all out, but then I was back on my baloney, right? You don't figure it out once, get your inner world all cleaned up, and then coast. That's not what it is. Life just keeps happening. Of course, I talked about this last time, about how time is not exactly linear. And then Marianne King just talked about exactly the same thing during this meditation. It's all really wrapping together nicely. I think we're on to something. Just as we have to pack up and move all of the stuff. A big challenge ahead, but we keep moving. It's a practice. It's daily. It's ongoing. Because whatever you don't tend to as the humble gardener, right, that grows. And that voice you thought you dealt with, it didn't retire. No, in fact, it may show up early tomorrow with an offer you can't refuse, well before you've had your morning coffee. So let's not walk away from inner guidance just because we know there is a danger. Let's refine it. Let's recognize Mara when he shows up. We respect Mara enough to examine. We know we are capable of leading ourselves to dangerous places. We have seen it. We challenge it, not in combat, right? Remember what the Buddha said, I see you, Mara. To master ourselves, we must recognize, not banish. There's another great story here with the Buddha and Mara. This time, Buddha and his buddies they're set up in a camp of some kind, temporary, right? And his friend is walking about the camp, and he sees Mara peeking out from behind a tent. And he runs back to the Buddha, and he's like, I spotted Mara in camp. What do you want to do, right? And Buddha says, oh, my friend Mara has come. Won't you please prepare us some tea, right? The Buddha does not fear Mara, just as we should not fear the shadow of ourselves. We are not trying to yank the weeds from our mind. We are not trying to banish the thoughts. They'll just come back a different way on a different day. That's what we know. But we'll deal with them each time they come back. I see you, Mara. Would you care for some tea? Not every part of you is your inner guide, and not every part of us deserves to lead. When the voice is insistent, try this. Slow down. Look inward and breathe. That may just allow the illusion to vanish. If not, remember the voice worth trusting doesn't just make you right with you. It makes you right with others. And here is some good news. The fact that there are competing voices doesn't mean we're broken, right? I know that I'm telling you to recognize the different voices in your mind and to even give them names, right? I know that sounds a little crazy. But the point of this message is that through the lens of the committee, we can find the true voice. We can notice the oneness that is truth. You are aware enough to notice. And awareness, presence, we know that's where everything begins. So we're going to keep going, listening, questioning, practicing. Open-eyed, not naive or cynical, just honest about the weight we're carrying and committed to carrying it well. I love Lord of the Rings. I love those stories. I've referenced them several times from the lectern here, right? Tolkien has woven great moral messages into those tales. And do you know who the author considers the true hero of the Lord of the Rings? It is not Frodo Baggins. No, it is Samwise Gamgee, the humble gardener. Sam knew the ring offered a lie. He only wished to return to his homeland, to return to the Shire, and tend his garden and be with his family. He didn't want to have power and dominion over the world, all the things that are promised by that one ring. Think about the messages we receive in our culture now, today. Messages about going viral, about expanding your reach or your engagement, on being just one product set, maybe just one ring, away from feeling complete and at ease. Who does that sound like? Tend your garden. Are we committed to carrying the seemingly unbearable weight of life well? Well, Sam famously said to Mr. Frodo, I may not be able to carry the ring for you, but I can carry you. This is an inspiring moment in the story. They're on the cracks of Mount Doom. But it's a good message. We can't always understand each other's struggles, right? But we can help in whatever way we can. Sometimes it might be carrying their stuff for them. Sometimes it might be carrying them with their consent, right? Sometimes it might simply be agreeing to walk with them to whatever end. We have that Ram Dass quote. It's actually on the back of this shirt, right? We're all just walking each other home. And Course in Miracles reminds us that the ego is loud, but the Holy Spirit is still. This church within is a sanctuary, but as we've seen, it requires a heroic, humble gardener. This week and beyond, do not trust the first voice that speaks. Do not trust the one that is in a hurry. Sit in the stillness of your own temple. Look at the weeds of your ego and say, I see you. Mara is loud, but the Dharma is still. Tempting may be the offer, but the light is within. This beautiful, ordinary work of love, it's not for a grand story or a blockbuster movie. It's for our everyday lives. The ego is loud, but the spirit is still. And so it is.